I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Friday, September the 25th, brought to you in part by Zach Tran. Stress opens a gate to bovine respiratory disease. Slam it shut with Zach Tran. Remember to observe your 35-day withdrawal period after treatment. For more information, go to zactran.com or visit with your BI representative. One for the good guys. I tell you what, your cattle feeders, they held tough. They stayed strong. The board was down early in the week. They didn't waver. They hung right in there, demanding more money for their cattle, and they got more money for their cattle. And we were kind of thinking maybe steady to a buck higher there. You know, maybe after Tuesday, after the board was down 2 days pretty hard, we were thinking maybe we can hold steady. But I tell you what, the guys just hung in there. And they kind of worked together. They didn't sell very many cattle. You know, we talked about all the way through Wednesday they hadn't sold hardly any cattle. And then Thursday they got paid off. You know, amazing how that works. But got to be proud of them. Got to give it to them. Good job, guys. You gained some market position there. And we're going to talk all about your fat cattle trade here in just a little bit. We've got cattle on feed report coming out here on Friday. Happens at 2:30. Be after the board closes. I think it should be built into the board, but everybody's thinking it's going to be bearish, which is a little bit scary because the average of the analysts' guesses, they just kind of leave themselves open to be bearish. But the good thing is when everybody thinks it's going to be bearish, if it should happen to come out neutral, that'll be a good thing. But we'll see how it works out. But you know, they're looking at your inventories being over 103. They're looking at placements being about 106, and they're looking at marketings just being about 96 and a half there. So it really doesn't have to do much just to be neutral, but it does seem like the placements could be a very bearish factor there because we sold so many cattle through the auctions and moved a lot of cattle in August there, and they've just got them there at 106, and it likely could be heavier than that because you remember a year ago we were still kind of in the uncertainty after the Holcomb fire there. So we'll hope for the best and see what happens on Friday. And you guys know I hate the way that they have to leave that under veil and then pull it back and just let everybody kind of wince and hold themselves to see what happens to the market. But I wish they would be a little more transparent about that kind of stuff. But we want to talk about you know, your futures market, and it was good on Thursday, which is really surprising because it was strong on Wednesday. Down hard Monday and Tuesday, kind of bounced back on Wednesday, and we thought it would just be kind of a steady go on Thursday, but your board was strong on Thursday. So we'll see how it finishes out the week, because normally on Friday, you know, if the board's been up all week, then you'll see some profit taken and be short on Friday, and vice versa. If the board's been down all week, it'll come up on Friday. But this week we don't really know what to think because the board was down hard Monday and Tuesday and then up pretty good Wednesday and Thursday. So maybe we can hold steady, and we'll see if anybody gets tipped off about what the cattle on feed report's going to be. But look at October live cattle futures up 87 cents at 108.02. December up $1.07 at 112.27. You're going out front from there, up 62 cents to up $1.05. How about feeder cattle contracts? September was up 45 cents at 142.45. October up 75 cents at 142.27. You going out from there was unchanged at your furthest out traded month, which is a year from now, and your other ones were all higher and up as much as $1.20. Your fat cattle trade, it was active on Thursday. These confirmed sales that are going to give you are kind of light because things didn't really get kicked off until kind of middle part of the day, and your packers were a little bit tardy on getting some of those sales in. They probably weren't real excited about advertising the fact that they had to give $2 more, both live and dressed for the most part. But they'll eventually get those sales in there because they're mandated by law to do it. But we're a little bit light on our confirmed sales. But Iowa, 6,700 head quoted there. It might not be a whole lot more than that because they kind of started it off. But live sales from 103 to 106, but mostly 104 to 105. Dress sales 164 to 165. Nebraska 2,200 head. There'll be a lot more of those whenever they round them all up. And their sales were a lot easier to read. 105, $2 higher. 165, $2 higher. Kansas, only 2,400 head confirmed, and they'd have a lot more than that, all at 105. That's straight $2 higher. Texas hardly had any confirmed, but talked to some people and heard some reports saying that they had sold several cattle at 105. So pretty good fat cattle trade there, but they had to earn it, and that's kind of how they're going to have to get this, is earn it every week. Box beef cutout values, they're higher. And they were higher several days this week. They were only down hard on Tuesday, and we expected this week seasonally to be lower. But your packers are trying to hold the market up, and you think, well, and they set the price on those for the most part, so you have to look at volume of movement there to really get an idea of what's going on. Well, the movement's been kind of decent too, so they've been able to kind of hold the market on their wholesale beef prices. So maybe things will kind of turn around quicker than they normally do seasonally here, and we start recovering a little bit. But just imagine what we could do if we had food service. If they'd open all these restaurants up and let us go in and eat. We're tired of eating our own cooking. But choice cuts up 161 at 217.48. Selects up 14 cents at 207.74, but pretty decent movement every day this week, and was really only down one day. Look at your slaughter, 482,000 through Thursday. That's 3,000 more than last week, 14,000 more than the same week a year ago. If we could have a decent Saturday, then we could easily eclipse a year ago and start making some ground up. But it seems like every time we're running ahead for the week, then they slack off on Saturday and we don't end up with a big week's harvest. But your actual slaughter data for the week ending September the 12th come in, and I tell you what, we just get reminded every Thursday that we're not out of the woods yet. Dressed steer carcass weights on the average 920 pounds. Wow. I mean, that's big. That's getting close to all-time records for this time of year, set back in 2015. But that 920-pound average steer carcass is 2 pounds heavier than the previous report and 29 pounds bigger than the same time a year ago. And that's our problem, guys. If we didn't have that, we could really get through them. Our head counts are pretty well in check, but it's the damn weights that we can't seem to get under control. And beef is sold by the pound. So it's killed by the head, sold by the pound. Let's talk about what else is going on. Today, here on Friday, Burwell Livestock Market, Burwell, Nebraska, has got a pretty good sale. You might want to get on to dvauction.com and watch that sale. They've got a calf special. They'll have a lot of fancy calves right up there in the Sandhills, but they've got both fall-born calves and spring-born calves. So get on there and you can see some pretty fancy calves sale and view and bid that sale right there on DV Auction on Friday. I'm going to be spending the weekend here in Oklahoma City at Heritage Place yearling sale. I've got over 600 head of prospects, racing prospects, quarter horses here to sell Friday and Saturday at Heritage Place, and that's where champions are sold. But guys, get on there at dvauction.com. We're going to be holding that sale. Might be kind of interesting. The ring's made out of velvet rope, so it's kind of a different deal than what you normally see. But if you're interested in buying you a quarter horse racing prospect, you got to call in their office, and you can imagine why. But they're pretty stringent on who they're going to let register in there, and they'll have to run your credit card and things like that if you want to buy one. But you don't have to show up to the sale. You can bid right there online for the first time ever, which kind of surprised me as long as Heritage Place has been around. What else is going on? I want to give a shout out, and I'm going to give several shout outs between now and then. But my friend Jack Payne out there in Fallon, Nevada, Nevada Livestock Marketing. He's having an event on October the 14th, and I think some guys ought to pay attention to it. That's a pretty rural area out there, but he's got an event on the evening of October 14th called Ranchers for Trump. And I tell you what, he's raising money. You think, well, we don't need to raise money for Trump. The hell, we've got to raise money for Trump. He's in a battle here. We can't take this election for granted, guys. We are screwed. I tell you what, you look at people out west there, you think you're tired of Trump and you want to vote for Biden. You think things are bad now. I tell you what, you won't be getting any, Trump has really relaxed a lot of these things that are holding up what we need to do, He's backed off on, we get more, easily get into our grazing. We got to get our grazing rights figured out here. That's how come the fires are so bad out west, because they really cramped down on the grazing, and they're not logging in there like they should. He's done some. We'd like to see him do more, but we're sure not going to get that with Biden. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw this week that that nutty liberal governor they got out there in California saying in 15 years it's going to be against the law to buy an internal combustion engine. Really? Okay. Well, let's see you pull a 24-foot gooseneck with a battery-powered pickup. That should be interesting to watch. But I tell you what, I'm glad to see this event happening, and I'm glad to see it happening where it is happening in Nevada. Right now, Trump's running 11 points behind so far with your fake polls. He's already doing better than this race than he did in the Hillary race there 4 years ago, and he won that. So, but we can't take this for granted, guys. I know you never see a Biden sign anywhere. Homeless people have no place to put it up. You're not going to see many yard signs because they don't have a yard to put it in. That's the problem. But we've got to really give a push here. We got 40 days until the election. Be less than that by the time you guys see this report. But we've got to get behind him. But he's got people donating cattle, and he's already got cattle committed that they're going to auction off there at Nevada Livestock Marketing. He's got cattle committed from Idaho, Oregon, Nevada, Utah, and California. They're going to be auctioning those cattle off. Likely some of them, part of it be a rollover auction. So you can do that. If you guys can't make it, and I know a lot of you can't, you can get on to dvauction.com and pull up Nevada Livestock Marketing sale there on October the 14th that evening, and you can bid right there. All the money's going to be donated to the Trump victory campaign. And I tell you what, they're needing that, because we've got to get the word out as much as we can. But they've got a dinner there. It's a potluck dinner, but they're going to be getting $100 a plate for it. So one thing that they're going to do, and that might be significant if you want to advertise your business and you live out in that part of the country. And I know it's wide open country up there. But Nevada Livestock Marketing and Jack Payne, they're going to be taking out many full-page ads in a lot of different publications out there, and they're going to be listing the people that donated and put their heart up money for the Trump campaign. And this is something that's really needed in Nevada. They've got everything shut down in Nevada because the liberals have taken over. I wonder how Las Vegas is liking letting the liberals take over. Now they can't host anything. So long national finals. That's the one thing that kept Las Vegas afloat between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Now it's going down to the Metroplex this year. That's good. That's what needs to happen. Lose those events if you've let those leftist liberals take over and they want to flex their muscles and shut everything down. Same thing with Denver. I'm hearing that the National Western is starting to shop out a lot of those different shows that they normally have up there. Good enough for them. Let's get them all shopped out. They'll think about the way that they used to have that National Western. They pretty much wiped out everything from the old Denver stockyards anyway, which was the main reason that people went there, because it was nostalgic and they enjoyed going. Let them lose all their stock shows and not be nearly as important as they were before they let this happen. But I tell you what, we've got to start fighting back a little bit, guys. We can't let these liberals just completely take over. And if you guys don't get excited about this election, it's going to get even worse. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market, your real-time index on DV auction late in the day on Thursday at 141.17, down 22 cents. How about your big sales on Thursday? Winter Livestock, Pratt, Kansas, 1,600 head. Not a big run, but they've got some big prices. In fact, they've got the high price for the day I'm going to talk about at closing. But feeder steers, $2 to $3 higher. Feeder heifers, $2 to $3 lower. Calves not well tested. Farmers and Ranchers Livestock, Salina, Kansas, at 1,600 head also. And both of those sales, one in north central Kansas, one in south central Kansas, both of those sales the year ago, receipts were much, much heavier than this week's receipts. And I guarantee it's not because it's too muddy to get them in there. But Farmers and Ranchers Livestock, Salina, 1,600 head. Feeder steers, they're steady to $2 higher. Feeder heifers, $3 to $4 higher. Looks like all the heifer buyers were up there, but I got several individual quotes to give you. How about Mitchell Livestock, Mitchell, South Dakota, 60 head, 724 pound steers, bring 155.85. How about Stockman's Livestock Exchange in Dickinson, North Dakota? They sold some heavy steers well, weighing in the nines too, but I like this quote. 62 head, 860 pound steers, bring $146. Dickinson, North Dakota. How about Broken Bow, Nebraska? Broken Bow Livestock Market, 130 head, 903 pound steers, bring 141.25. But I told you the top quote that I saw anywhere on Thursday come out of Winter Livestock, Pratt, Kansas. And I tell you what, they had a consignment of cattle in there. They had two different owners, but they was running together. But these cattle, they called them value added on the market report. Everybody's throwing that value added deal around all the time. And the cattle weren't NHTC, and they weren't all natural or anything that we normally equate to value added. I talked to Steve Stratford there at Pratt, and he does everything but auctioneer around there. Gets them in there, gets them sold, gets them sorted up, does it all around there. But I tell you what, he told me about the cattle. He said they were honest green yearlings. And that's what people really want. I tell you what, you give somebody an honest weigh up, and you've got a yearling type animal there that's healthy and been running together for a long time, they'll come out for it. Don't think these were value added. They was in some third party verification deal. They were just honest green yearlings, and they were good cattle, and had two different owners. Scott Anderson sold 72 head, 867 pound steers, bring 148.50. And then Stan Herman had 74 head, same kind of cattle, 829 pounds at 151.75. That's your feeder flash for Friday.